the balance of community, the balance of city, the balance of a nation starts with what? The family. Starts with relationship. Okay? Having a balanced relationship. Okay? And if we have dysfunctional relationship based on the obsession of fulfilling a ism, okay, then the offspring of that imbalance is going to be alcoholism, drug addiction, anger, dysfunctional emotional response. Okay? Why? Because we don't understand how to achieve balance. Okay? Now, in nature, we see balance, okay, because I study natural science and I study spirituality. Okay? And I see that they both complement because it came from one source, which is God, Elohim. Okay? So, we see that there are two types of plants, from the tree on down to the herb and grass. And these plants are both, the ones that I call perfect plants, have male and female functioning. The ones that are called imperfect plants only have one functioning, male or female. They are called imperfect plants. Okay? And they have to depend on other plants to fertilize them. Okay? The male aspect of a plant is called the stamen. Okay? The female is called the pistil. Okay? I'm kind of blow your mind on one point. Okay? And so this one plant functions in a balance where they can what? Homeostasis or mayat homeostasis, that is, create a balance of relationship where they can do what? Reproduce. Reproduce another healthy flower. Okay. Okay. Not an imperfect flower, right, but a flower that emulates the very perfection that they came from. Okay. In us, on a neural level, it's called the parasympathetic, which is female. Okay. And the sympathetic, which is male. These two function. The male does something in the body. Okay. What we call fight or flight. We went through that in a prior class. And the female does something. Rest and produce or nurture. Okay. That means after the male aspect takes care, even in the eating cycle, the breaking down of the food is the sympathetic.
Right.
The taking the vitamins from that food and nurturing the body is the female. So without one, you got one that just breaks down, but you don't have nothing to carry what it breaks down to the body. What happens to the person? You don't have health because he's not assimilating the vitamin, nutrients, and minerals of the food. So if nature teaches us that, okay, we have a purpose here. Okay. The parasympathetic is not competing with the sympathetic. The sympathetic does not compete or subjugate the parasympathetic function. See, that's from that chauvinistic viewpoint or the feministic viewpoint. See, they in competition with one another. We don't do isms. Because what we're trying to create is homeostasis or ma'at. That is balance. Okay? Holism can't allow that principle, these isms, to invalidate the functioning of the parasympathetic or the sympathetic, the function of the stopping or the pre-still in nature. So it says that any flower that has these two functionings are called perfect. That is, ma'at, in balance. And they have the ability to create homeostasis, which is another word for balance, this is a fancy word for balance, and reproduction, proliferation. Okay. So we have to look at our relationship and saying, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to ism my relationship? I'm the man. You know. And then you have the female in the social science of feminism saying, I'm the woman, we're going to rule the world. Why can't y'all just do like nature does, rule together? Huh?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So the female that don't want to function with the male is called what? Imperfect. The male that don't want balance with the woman is called in nature imperfect. But when the two are working together, that plant, such as the lily, the dandelion, and the rose, they have both these components. They're called perfect. Perfect what? Perfect harmony. That's the basis of recovery. Okay? It starts at home, in your relationship. Okay?
I gotta come take this projector from y'all.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry.
If you need it?
No, my phone is on it.
Okay.
Let me see.
Oh, you're taking a video? Sorry to interrupt
Oh,
you.
that's okay. You know, that's life. I'm gonna steal this. Can I steal your purse? Okay.
Hey, everybody.
And so we want that homeostasis. Let that be your purpose. That in any relationship, whether it's marriage, whether it's friendship, if you don't have homeostasis, a balance, what is a friend for? Okay, first you got to know the purpose of being a friend. Because when you let these unbalanced things, what does it do? Create stress.
Yeah.
Toxic stress in you. And then next thing you know, that stress create what? Mental instability. The next thing you know, you taking your paycheck to try to escape that stress through what? A toxic means.
Yeah.
But when you're walking and living in homeostasis, okay, balance, what we call ma'at, balance, okay, you want to come home. You want to bring flowers to your woman. You want to cook a meal, not because of some duty, okay, but because of what? Balance and love. Huh? Okay. I don't do nothing on the basis of subjugation as a man. I try to create homeostasis. I try to complement. Because I know what it means when it says, wives, submit to your husband. It's not talking about submission that especially black people experience in slavery. You can't associate that word to your historical experience. Okay. All it's saying is that submit to what? Agreement. Become agreeable with each other. Function in an agreeable relationship. For what purpose? We don't want that toxic stress that leads us to insanity to enter into the door.
That's right.
And nature itself teaches us this. The fruit tree, read in the scripture, it says eat of what? Herbs bearing what? Seed. Vegetables bearing what? Seed. Fruit trees bearing what? Fruit with seed. So now we understand when we eat seedless grapes, they done denatured the male aspect of that fruit. So you're eating an unbalanced food. They call it technology. I call it insanity. You eating an imperfect product. Okay? Because grapes have what? By nature.
Seeds.
Seed.
Yeah.
And here come man who think he's smarter than the divine, who's smarter than the Most High, and said, we're going to make seedless grapes
Huh.
for your convenience. So you don't have to spit the seed out. It wasn't hard for me to do that. That wasn't a big job. Okay? For you to denature that food, and in that state, I'm not getting a balance of nutrients. I'm not getting out of that fruit what the Most High intended me to get out of it. I can care less what you intended. Because the only body living in this body is me. I have to decide. Okay. So when they take the stamen out, and all you have is pre-steel, okay, because the seed is from the man, okay. And I'm going to show you this. and y'all don't trip on this. This is just natural science, okay? But I'm going to put it in terms that we can understand. When you eat a fruit, do you know what you're eating? That's produced from that tree. The outer shell is the ovary. And the seed, the male aspect, is wrapped around or encased within that ovary. That's what fruit is. Reproductive organs of that tree. So you eating an ovary with a seed in it. Okay? Why? Because with those two elements within the fruit, okay, it does its work. And it only is a perfect work when the fruit has both the stamen and the pre-steel. It does a perfect work. It brings balance to the body. Okay. Huh? So when next time you pick up that apple with seeds in it, huh? You eating the ovary of the tree. And if it ain't got no seed in it, you eating unbalanced, denatured food, which does not give the body what it needs to strengthen that body. Okay? So they tell you, they said, okay, we're gonna move on to the script. Okay? And so we want to look at nature and look at our relationship, look at our mating habits. Okay? Because in all nature, okay, there are laws and principles within that nature, and we can see cycles. Okay. It's just like at 1 o'clock. What organ is functioning at 1 o'clock at its optimal level? The liver. So you want to eat foods that's related to the liver, or drink a tea, a Billy tea, a tea that ministers to that liver to help it function optimally. Okay. Okay. Wow. That's a cycle in the body And we're going to do, not in this, because we got one more session on this one. But when we start, I think it's October 15th on the second session, okay, we're going to deal with biorhythms and cycles of the body. Okay. All right. So what we want to say is, what is the highest potential when you mate? What time of the day should you mate to produce the healthiest child?
Probably at night.
Anybody else?
I already read ahead.
Okay.
Between 10 and 2.
Yeah. It's the cycle starts at 7:30, but it's at its peak between 10 and 2. Daytime sex. See, that's when people used to have sex in the daytime. Okay. That's when your semen contains its highest level of vitamins, concentrated vitamins. Okay. Nighttime sex, when your body is in this serotonin stage, okay, has the least amount of vitamins, minerals, and the least concentrated. Mm-hmm. But under the corporate system, when they destroyed, I guess it was in the 20s, 30s, they destroyed the rural culture. Because back then it was like 80% of America was rural. They grew their own food. They managed their own time. Okay. Back when you was in Africa, when there was no slavery interfering with you. Okay. So our culture changed. Okay. Because you had to work up from sun up to sundown. So you ain't had time for sex. So this, what I call even muting itself within, I don't like to use the word black and white because, that's into American culture. Okay. Now you under the 8-10 hour system, your whole day and all your energy, okay, goes to what? Producing for the corporations. Okay. So you get home at night, you're tired. Okay. Eat a bunch of junk food, and then you want to go and have sex. See, that's what we call it, because that's what we're conditioned to call it. Because in order to keep you in this cycle, they have to change terminology. Okay. When did they start using that? Let's go make love. How you making love? How you call sex making love? What, you got a factory where you go in there and make love? Put on, oh yeah, let's go make love. Okay? Associating sexual pleasure to love. So you hear women, well, if he can't make no good love, I don't need him. That's not love. That's reproductive activity. In holistic science, we are taught that humans have a reproductive drive, not a sex drive. Okay? Animals have a reproductive drive. When that certain season comes, and you hear that dog roo, he's singing to that female dog. Get ready. Oh, here I come. He's romancing her. Okay? Because they have a ritual, and you'll find most animals have a ritual of mating. They got this one bird in Africa, and you know what it does? He dances. Before they make love, he dances. And she, oh, yeah. He's creating a emotional content for union. Okay. Those rituals of mating has been destroyed within our society. And we don't demand because we don't study. We don't say, hey, wait a minute, man, we off biorhythm. Okay. We're not on a rhythm. There's a mating season for us. You don't just go, you dig, and pop it down every night, you know, trying to fulfill some sexual fantasy and all that other garbage they done gave to us. All right? So when is the best season for mating? I'm not talking about having sex. I'm talking about mating. You want to have a child. You want to have a healthy child. We know the time, but now what's the season? Yeah, you read a lot, didn't you? Sneaky guy. Okay? That's when your semen is the most concentrated.
That's why weddings are.
Yeah.
Why weddings are in a.
Yeah. Okay. Nature teaches you that. When spring come in, what does it start doing?
Starts blooming.
Blooming. Birthing from the earth. From seeds that dropped down there last fall. That was a long sexual intercourse all winter. Seeds and earth, they like, yeah, they don't care nothing about y'all, they down in the ground, you know. And then when that sun, that light and heat, that water begins to hit it, you okay? It bursts. It begins birthing. Okay. So, we have two functionings, okay, in our sexual union, okay? Ejaculation and ejaculation. When there is no mating, okay, for the purpose of birth, then we use the strategy of ejaculation. Okay. That means no release of semen. Okay. Ejaculation is for reproduction, which we practice in the spring. Ejaculation was the original method of birth control. Okay? Because if ancient people screwed as much as us, we'd be really overpopulated.
Oh boy.
Because they was much healthier. They ate nature. All right. So they was much more concentrated. They'd be having triplets.
Oh boy.
You understand? So the purpose of sexual intercourse in enjoying a woman and just romancing, okay, we use what? Ejaculation. Okay. Then when the spring comes, if you want to have children, ejaculation. Okay. Now this takes discipline. It's a saying in Hebrew, it's Hadari Kayim Musar. The path of life is discipline. And because we're sexually undisciplined, the thought of, wow, functioning in that level of self-control, when all our life, sexuality has been propagated as getting that nut.
Oh boy.
You ain't thinking about no kid now.
Come on now.
Only thing you thinking about is getting that nut off. Okay? The pleasure principle, the id principle.
There you go.
Okay? The reactive principle. Self-satisfying principle. What we had? The reactive principle. What is the reactive principle? Down, up. Have a desire here. We function to fulfill it. Once it's fulfilled, we go back to the original position which we started. Okay. The only purpose in that is what? self-satisfaction, to feel good.
Oh boy.
To feel good.
That's it.
That's a fact.
Okay. No romance, no nothing.
Come on now.
No rituals.
Come on.
Let me read this. Until the human mating season occurs, which is during the spring when the sperm count is sufficiently higher and more concentrated. Sexual union should be preceded by rituals, ceremonies, what we call today romantic events. A walk in the park, a healthy dinner, or lunch accompanied with music or dance, patting and compliments, praying. See, we need to put God out the bedroom. Thanking Elohim or God for blessing the union. Intercourse should be holistic. The sharing of spirit, mind, and body, and not just dick and pussy. All right. Well, that's the language of the people. Everybody told me don't use no big word.
Say it like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking in the language of the people because I want to communicate this to you. We could have said penis or vagina, make it sound pretty. Okay. But I don't think that's going to be effective with the grassroots. I'm going to say it like it is. Okay. All right. So, before there, in order to get that spiritual, that mental connection, before we go into physical, music, dance, compliments. You look so beautiful. Dancing, I do different types of dance, but I'm just, the American thing. Right? Petting. Okay. Taking a moment and say, thank you, God, for her. Thank you, God, for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We bypass all of that. I like to write poetry. When I got it in mind that, hey, I want some romance, I write poetry. As a medallion of God, I accept you as you are, from your warm, intimate toes to your most holy hair. Are you acceptable in my sight? I would neither add nor change nor take away. But as a medallion of God, I accept you as you are. Okay. So when I start the poetry thing, my wife knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know.
You late, so you can't talk. Okay. All animals have ceremony and ritual singing. That's why in the springtime, what you hear all morning, they singing, they romancing. Okay. The wolf, the male wolf on the mountain, he want all the women to hear. He's singing to them. And then you see that wolf or that dog, that female, she put a vagina part on the ground and began sliding. Yeah.
I do not do that.
I'm talking about the
I know
dog.
you're talking about.
I hope I don't see you doing
No.
Okay, but this is real. So when we look in nature, I do two things because I found nature is compatible in my studies of the scripture. I said, man, this is compatible. One on a spiritual level and descending into natural creation and those same principles of scripture and rebirth and different things are in nature. Okay. So I can be balanced and healthy physically, mentally, okay, through understanding how to function in nature instead of how to function in lust.
Right.
Come on, somebody.
Okay. Which we've been trained to function in.
Right.
Okay. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the what? Pride of life. What y'all brothers be doing? I know, but I used to do it.
Pride of life.
You get up from the bed, you be like, yeah, got that.
Big chick.
You know, sexual domination of women. That's a pride of life. That's an addiction. Okay. And then he go light up a cigarette, drink him some cognac. Because he regulates his perception of manhood based upon sexual conquest. That's what you need to be dealing with. We need to heal. Feminism ain't gonna do it. Chauvinism ain't gonna do it. Why? Because these actions and beliefs have no homeostasis, no ma'at. The objective is to create ma'at, homeostasis, balance, for the purpose of reproducing mentally, reproducing spiritually, reproducing physically. Spirit, mind, and body. This is how and what holism is about. Okay. So when the dude come to me talking about that chauvinistic view, I said, bro, I don't even want to hear it. See, people ask me, I said, I have no comment on that. I teach natural science and spirituality. That's not even in my subject matter. When you come to me talking feminism, don't want to hear it? Why? It doesn't create homeostasis. Am I prejudiced against those two ideas? Yes, I have the right to be. Just like I have the right to choose chocolate ice cream from vanilla ice cream. I say I want chocolate. That means I'm prejudiced against the vanilla. Anything outside of divine law and natural law, I don't want to hear. Because I'm trying to create in my life homeostasis. Isms are imbalanced, dogmatic imbalances that create such chaos as it has today in this male-female war. Who's going to be the dominant? Man, I don't want to hear that garbage. If it ain't about homeostasis, balanced family, producing healthy children,
Right.
to proliferate the human race, not backwards, but what? Proactive, forward. I don't want to hear it. You're anti-life. Okay? See, you got to understand, if you enter into a sexual relationship with that type of lust and emotional content, it is passed on through the semen and through the woman, through the semen. So you're producing what? Unbalanced children. That's why you shouldn't make love to a pregnant woman. Because everything that goes in that woman's body, that semen, that alcohol, everything goes into that child. And the child comes out sexually confused. Lustful. Because he shares that act with you. But we don't have the discipline to love, which is that child and that mother. We just want some pussy. You know, that savage mentality. Okay. So then when we get these lustful children, when we get these sexually imbalanced children, because they took that lust within themselves, they eat emotions in that womb. They actually literally eat emotion, your emotional content. That's called child abuse. Okay. To me, I don't care what nobody else believes. Okay. I really can care less what anybody else. I'm going by science. Cause and effect. A proven cause and effect. Your opinion don't mean nothing. Okay, this is a proven cause and effect within human interrelationships. Okay. Your politics, your social science, anything that is not agreeable with the laws of nature, the laws of spirituality, you shouldn't even want to hear it. Not if you want homeostasis, reproduction, mentally, spiritually, and physically, healthy children that can move humanity forward instead of backwards into social chaos and madness. It's hard, but it's right. And anyone who has any inkling of logical thinking, whether you deny it or accept it today, you know it's right. And I can say it because all I'm going to say is, you want to argue? Hey, go and do the studies on it. I don't need to argue with you. The information is right there. Okay? Argue with science. Don't argue with me. But this is how I'm moving my life. And I was contaminated. So my thing is, okay, we ain't gonna, we've been contaminated, like the sister said. I gave her some stuff. She said, Baraka, I did good for a week. I said, don't judge yourself. We've been contaminated. Just take it to transition. If you mess up, just pick it back up and keep going. This is not a judgmental program. This is a program of mercy, love, and peace. There ain't nobody going to condemn you based upon the fact that you was contaminated by this false science, toxic foods. What do? How do we conceive children? In a toxic way. Because our concept of romance, we go out, shake the booty, drink some cognac, go and eat some McDonald's, or any other rich foods that taste good but have absolutely no nutritional value. Smoke a little weed, and then go in a contaminated body, contaminated sperm. You're already weak because you're making love at night at the weakest potential. Okay. And then you contaminate, so what we have? Toxic romance. And then at the end of that toxic romance, we put weak, contaminated sperm in a woman who's contaminated too, okay? And then the child come out, you get what I'm saying, with all these negative potentials, and then what's wrong with you? It started in the bedroom 9 years ago. I done it. Okay? I done sat up in front of that TV and allowed myself to be brainwashed by false science and false social dynamics. Because every time, why do you think every time a football game come on, you have a desire for beer? Why do you think on Fridays you have a desire to get a case of beer? When you got the time, we got the beer. You singing that on the way to the liquor store. After the work is done, while you still having fun, the king of beer is waiting for you. When you say, and you going, oh, give me that Budweiser. I want to have some fun. Okay. You've been programmed. Commercials is the worst and the most programmed. They do scientific studies on these. All right. Or you start thinking about a woman, and next thing you know, you want some cognac. Why? Because you're driving down the street and you see a cognac sign, and it's a beautiful girl right there with that cognac. So now you associate that beautiful sexual woman with what? Cognac. Associated devices. Okay. All right. Or the women, y'all think, boy, that's a handsome dude. Then that, I don't know what all these names, J&P or whatever, Brandy comes up. Because you done seen the sign with that handsome man in a tuxedo. You know what I'm saying? Clip in his back pocket, and he's standing there with a bottle of
E&J.
yeah, that's E&J. You know what I'm talking about. It didn't even take her long. That association hit just like that. Okay. And then for the ghetto dwellers, they got some dumb rap singer with a bottle of cheap beer with PCP in it. Okay. That's all the young people, they run into the store, you know, getting that, yeah, man, give me that 40. Only cost 99 cents. Why you think it cost 99 cents, fool?
It ain't no good for you.
It ain't no good for you. It's filled with drugs. A PCP ain't nothing but a bombing fluid, what they use to bury people. I've been in California. I live in California. They had a dipstick. They take the cigarette, dipped it in the bombing fluid, and light it up and smoke it. They out of their mind. And that's why back in the day, before they brought this PCP beer, you know, you could drink a couple of beers and you'd be cool. Now they drink a couple of beers, they running down the street, violent and emotionally unbalanced. It's drugs. And then you go make love to a woman, conceive, and what you got, a drug baby. And didn't even know it because you thought you was drinking beer.
Come on now.
And then you say, why is there so much social chaos?
What kind of beer is this?
It's anyone with an animal on it. Red Bull. Well, I don't know what's the name of that. Thunderbolt and all them real aggressive names
those
on it.
energy drinks?
No, this is beer.
Oh, Red Bull. Well, Red Bull.
Cobra.
Okay, I don't get it. I don't want to know.
Cobra. He said.
Cobra. What else?
Cobra? Oh, I never
Yeah. Now they usually don't sell it like in your community. Y'all got some other stuff.
Well, Michelob, I heard years ago, Michelob does have formaldehyde in it.
Yeah,
and that's what,
PCP. They, because they looking at the different cultures. Okay, black people drink this, white people drink this. So you got it, but you got it under another name. Okay.
Well, Michelob, the reasoning behind that I heard was to make the shelf life.
Yeah, it is. It's just about shelf life. Yeah,
Last
preserve.
longer.
Yeah.
Because beer is pretty light sensitive. That's
Yeah, it is.
around
It'll
longer.
go flat on you. Okay. So let me read this from the script. In modern Western society, the absence of romantic customs and rituals is because of the perception that sex is based on selfish lust, misconceived as affection and love. Thus, in the media, they associate junk food, poison products with sexual lust, cognac, cheap wine, rich foods. Eat, get drunk, and screw the night away. Okay? And thus the birth of chemical babies or denatured children that are absent of spiritual, social, and sexual discipline, from which chaos ensues, manifested as isms. A, feminism, females who seek dominance over the male principle and not homostasis. Maya. Chauvinism, males who seek dominance over the female principle and not homostasis. Maya, balance. Okay. Racism, a group of people that seek dominance over another group through hateful and oppressive means. Okay. Do not associate prejudice with racism. Okay. That's a system. That's a system. That's a political, economical system. Anybody in here, I can be prejudiced against you and not offend God. If you living in a way that is poison and I'm trying to live in a way that's healthy, you got to go. I'm prejudiced against your lifestyle. Okay. So, Most of us don't understand what racism is. We think it's prejudice. You have the right to say, I don't want to live around you. And I have the right to say, I don't want to live around you. Okay. Because our cultural dynamics conflict and will cause stress. Okay. I know what racism is, and I know what racism ain't. And half the stuff they call it racism today is not racism. It's preference. And I give everybody the right of their preference. Okay. Liberalism, those who define freedom outside of moral righteousness, that moral righteousness which produce order. Okay. I'm not a liberal. Matter of fact, I don't like, I'm prejudiced more against liberals than I am conservatives. Okay? Because when you destroy the moral foundation of a people, you destroy that people. I can deal with racism better than I can with liberalism. I know how to deal with racism. But liberalism? Okay. Conservatism, those who want to conserve old traditions and customs of repression and exploitation. That's where we get, that's why we're getting all these, toxic foods that disable us from functioning at our highest potential from conservatism. That's why conservatives support corporations. That's why they make laws where they can put poison. I mean, can you understand that talcum powder is made from asbestos and is one of the main reasons for cervical cancer, breast cancer. Talcum powder. And you get now, because I know it's an attack against women because women use it the most. In the summertime, it's asbestos. And it has been scientifically proven, okay, to produce breast cancer and other diseases, cervical cancer, and lawsuits is going out the window. And the corporations and the conservatives that support, okay, that's murder to me. Okay. The only conservative that I support is one that supports life and health. Okay. But if you're going to use your powers to conserve traditions of exploitation, selling people products that look like food and is poison, that look like cosmetics and is poison, and you know it's poison. Why you think all these babies getting blood cancer, leukemia? What do they use on babies? Talcum powder. It incites cancer in them at a young age. Especially babies that are born with a weak immune system. And they know this. They got the science on this. Okay? So these things come from people who have a repressive, obsessive, because it's imbalanced. There's no homeostasis. Okay. Okay. There's no balance. They're way over. Because when you start taking your ideas and taking it where it's called social imbalance or health imbalance or anything that is destructive to the harmony of life, you're sick. Okay. That's a sickness. Okay. That's a mental illness. If somebody walk in this room and start shooting us, you say, that man's sick. He's out of his mind. That's the same thing when you a politician or when you a whatever, and you know that they're poisoning the people, they're poisoning the water, they're poisoning the products in order to get longer shelf life, and you do nothing about it, then you've gone over the line of morality. You're a straight up devil. What is the purpose? Homostasis. For the purpose of reproduction or proliferation of life on earth. Without homostasis are harmonious ideals that preserve life, whether you call yourself a liberal, whether you call yourself, if your ideal is so obsessed and extreme and dogmatic, where you see, oh, wait a minute, okay, we need to bag this up some. That's destructive to social harmony. That's destructive to health. That's destructive to the proliferation of mankind. Okay? You out of your mind. Okay? So we support, what time is it? Okay, we got about 5 minutes. So we support life in everything we do. We support the balance and of life. Your life, that's your responsibility. I can't make you well. All I can do is give you this information and give you some techniques and strategies that say, okay, let's go on a transitional tour. Okay? All right. Start with breakfast. How many people have started with breakfast? All right, good. All right, good. All right, start with breakfast. What? 8 ounces of water. Wait a while. Fruit. Okay. And then vegetables, veggie juices I do, or you can take some whole wheat bread or oat bread and make a vegetable sandwich out of it and eat it.
A vegetable sandwich?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ate one about 4 o'clock. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. And that's your morning. That's how you get your morning started. 1 o'clock, drink you a tea, a liver tea to help the functioning of the liver because that's the transport of vitamins and minerals. It needs to be working at 90 to 100%. What you got against vegetable sandwich? You over there having convulsions. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So holistic, go back to the script. Holistic relationship is based, therefore, on the union of body, soul, and spirit to produce holistic children, whereas Western chemical culture is based on satisfying the pleasure principle through the ingestion of junk food, alcohol, drugs before union, nullifying the connection of the spirit, producing with the act of lust, which is communicated to the conceived child or children, producing inverted children. Emotionally inverted children. I want, me, I want, me, which includes most adults in America. Okay. Producing inverted children, regulated predominantly by the id factor, okay, or the lunar cycle, the reactive cycle. Okay. So when you see your child howling at the full moon, you know now why. Okay. All right. So we're going to end it here. All right. And I hope everybody got something out of it. If anybody got some quick questions or statements.
I just wanted to say this. I had taught as a teacher for a long while in an overcrowded school. And the trauma was just out of sync. But when I've heard some of the things that you have said, and I had heard things before, but it wasn't my problem.
Right.
It wasn't my problem. But when you go to schools, when I started sending the kids to parent-teacher conferences. Oh yeah, you see it. And then the parents sit there, well, he doesn't do that at home. Yeah, he does. You just don't see him do it at home. And just sitting listening to this stuff.
Yeah,
and even what they feed the kids in the interior of the cafeteria, they just dumping stuff on kids. And if they're poor black kids, they're gonna eat it.
Yeah.
They don't care what it tastes like
Well, but
because they know that's all they're gonna get.
Like I said, the path of life is strict discipline. Okay, Hadari Kayim Musa. Okay, and when a child has no discipline, which starts the moment in the womb and out, if you're undisciplined and you're feeding them and you're nurturing them in the womb, and you have an undisciplined lifestyle, they're gonna come out, man, with that same emotional content. Okay? It starts in the womb. Okay? So, we have a choice to say, hey, man, we're going to make a transition. It might be slow. Make a transition and pass this on. Okay? And what was your question?
You spoke about having children and children that would move society forward. What if a woman can't have children or your ages prevent you from having children?
Mm-hmm.
How do you then relate that to?
Well,
those
get
people
involved.
that
Get
you
involved with other children. Become surrogate. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Become surrogate. All right. Because your parasympathetic functioning, that the rest. I mean, all that. You have that. Okay. So if you don't have biological children, look around and say, you know what, I'm gonna get a part of that program. Okay. And some of the stuff I learned, I'm gonna pass it on. Okay. Me, go, and I see they feeding the thing, soda and Twinkies for breakfast. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a box of apples. Boom, there you go, kids. Try that instead of that. I'm not gonna degrade nobody. I'm gonna act upon it. I'm gonna be an example. Okay? I'm gonna sacrifice $20, go down to one of these farms, pack up, because it's cheap there. It can be done. And just bring it and say, here you go, kid. Boom. Try that and not that. I bet you feel better. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you help people through that transition. You have to help these kids through that transition. Okay. Yeah. Because alcohol, drug addiction, all these things is just a manifestation of a dysfunctional, emotional, mental, and spiritual state. I want to solve the cause, not to take away the effect. And so you stop drinking alcohol, and then next thing you know, you got donuts and stimulants at home that you take. You just trading addiction. If you get rid of the cause, the addictive behavior itself will disappear. Okay? So you got to begin that transition. Okay? Begin that transition. Y'all want to save America? Get them off that junk food. But they don't care because they want to fill up the prisons. They're making billions of dollars off the prison system. It's a profit-making business now. Okay?
Anything is that makes money.
Yeah. It's no longer rehab. It's warehousing human beings. That's why in 1979 they lowered the standard of the law. Now what was a felony before 1989 rather, was a misdemeanor, is a felony now. You got people going to jail for 5-6 years for what the habitual traffic offender. 6 years. Back in my day, you might spend at the most, 30 days. Okay. In county jail or in not a prison. And then when they came up with industrial prison system, they said, okay, we got, in order to increase the population in the prison, we got to lower the standard of the law. Do anybody care? Like she said, well, it didn't affect me. It does in the long run
taxes.
Right.
About the gal that, habitual traffic offender that killed 3 Fisher's girls in South Carolina.
Well, I mean, you know, if loss of life is there, you know what I mean, of course you got to take action, especially if she was intoxicated. Okay. That's totally different charge.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a friend, he was a Caucasian, and he got 6 years. He was doing 6 years. I said, man, they gave you 6 years? They gave this one dude 20 years for child support, failure to pay child support. 20 years, why not help him get a job so he can pay child support? Now he ain't gonna pay child support. Who gonna pay for it? Me?
I don't understand that. I don't understand that whole,
Well, it's a weapon. If you realize that we have an anti male because of the 1960s when you had all this protest and revolution and people fighting. You know, they want to pacify the alpha male to beta male. Okay. If you're too alpha, you're going to jail. You're going to be rejected. Okay. I know. I've been a victim of it many times. And I let people know, you ain't going to take away my manhood. Okay. You ain't going to touch my manhood. I was raised by my father and by my uncle, by my brothers. I know what manhood is. I don't need you as a woman to define for me my manhood. Define your womanhood and function in it. Don't try to define the sympathetic and you don't even have an idea what the parasympathetic is. Okay? You understand? So we got to come back to sanity. And you're not going to come back to insanity on poison, drugged up foods that they allow in order to make more money, longer shelf life, dysfunctional children who they know is going to grow up to be what they call a criminal. I don't call them a criminal. I call them a victim. Okay. Of food poisoning. Okay. All right. So we got one more class next week, and until we have the next session, which I got to talk to Andre on, and I hope y'all are getting something out of this. And thank you. I know this is your first time. I seen you shaking your head, so you were empowered today, and I appreciate because that's the purpose, to empower you with enlightened information. We ain't removing God out of nothing. Okay. But all that we have came from him. All right. So we give glory and honor to his name, and we continue to confess that there is one God, the creator of us all. All right. I say one Elohim, the creator of us all. Okay.
I have one quick announcement.
All right.
Tomorrow, Baraka's going to lead juicing.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's going to lead a class on juicing for culinary programs. So if you guys want to come learn how to make some healthy juices, I have a cute little menu that I made us.
Okay.
Cute little menu. We have the juicers here. We're going to have the ingredients, fresh produce. And then you guys can get to taste your own juices. One is a drug and junk food craving, high blood pressure, and a low energy. So come here tomorrow for our culinary program, and Baraka's going to be facilitating it, and I'll be here as well. Okay. So I just want to let you guys know.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock tomorrow. And it is really nice if you come, you get a $25 gift card just for participating, which is pretty cool, but that's just written in our grants. That you guys can get that, so just that class. But I just wanted to say that really quick because he's here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, we got something tomorrow. I almost forgot. I forgot. But because I was so into this. So, you know, just take it with you. You know, don't put too much demand on yourself. One step at a time to make that transition. One step at a time. All right, because this is not about condemnation, pointing the fingers. It's about mercy, love, and redemption.
Amen. That sounds
Okay.
great.
All right. So peace and blessings to all.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.